The initial $100,000 is a numerical barrier that many folks just can't get over. It's not about bad luck or a system stacked against them. They struggle because they don't grasp the mindset behind their own mistakes. I've spent 70 years observing smart individuals trip themselves up with the same predictable mental blunders. And I can confidently say this: your mind is set up to keep you broke. Let's be straight with each other. You're up against millions of years of evolution that has wired you for instant pleasure. The ancestors who stored away berries for the winter didn't pass down more genes than those who gobbled them up right away. But we're not living in caves anymore. The game has changed, yet your brain didn't get the update. That's the first issue you need to tackle. Having capital means having freedom. Capital gives you leverage. It's what separates you from being just a biological machine, trading your hours for dollars, and being a rational individual who can make choices without feeling pressured. Without that initial $100,000, you're just another worker hoping your health stays good and your boss remains satisfied. One health crisis, one company shakeup, one economic hiccup, and you're done for. I'm not making this up. I've seen it happen during the Great Depression, through every downturn since, and in 2008 when folks lost it all. Those with money had choices. They could scoop up assets while everyone else was freaking out. They could ride out the rough times. They could take smart risks because they had a safety net. Those without money got crushed, not because they were foolish, but because they had no power. Here's the hard truth that no one wants to admit. Reaching that first 100,000 has nearly nothing to do with being smart. I've known incredibly bright individuals who ended up broke and average thinkers who amassed wealth. The distinction wasn't about intelligence. It was about being rational. It was all about being able to spot and tackle the mental habits that lead people to make foolish choices with their cash. Let me guide you through what you're really up against. You might think you're battling low pay, bad luck, or the system itself. Nope. You're actually up against yourself. You're dealing with what I like to call the psychology of human error in judgment. There are 25 ingrained tendencies that evolution handed you to help you survive in groups, not to accumulate wealth in today's markets. The first tendency that's really messing you up is the whole reward and punishment thing. It's a super response. You're a straightforward being. You tend to do what gets you praise and steer clear of what gets you scolded. Sounds fair enough, right? But in today's world, society rewards spending and punishes saving. You get a shiny new car and everyone's singing your praises. Meanwhile, you're driving an old clunker while saving like crazy, and folks think you're a loser. Your whole social circle is discouraging the very actions that could lead you to financial success. Every ad, every post on Instagram, and every chat with your friends is just reinforcing the wrong motivations. Your brain has developed to really care about what the group thinks, because being excluded from the group could mean your survival was at risk. So you end up spending cash you don't have just to impress folks you don't even like. And then you're left wondering why you're struggling financially at 40. This isn't just some philosophical idea. It's biology working against your wallet. Now let's talk about the second issue, social proof. Humans are like copycats. If everyone around you is driving fancy BMWs and jetting off to Europe, your brain sees that as the right thing to do, even if they're buried in debt. Your subconscious notices the crowd moving in one direction and urges you to jump on the bandwagon. That's how you can find yourself with a negative net worth while trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm about to share something that might sound a bit tough, but it could save you years of struggle. The truth is, most people just don't know how to handle their finances. Most folks will grind away for 40 years and end up with nothing to show for it. A lot of folks are just going along with a playbook created by marketers who are eager to take every dollar they make. If you just follow the herd, you'll end up with the same outcomes as everyone else. That means a lifetime filled with money worries and a retirement that relies on government assistance. The third habit is envy and jealousy. This one can be especially harmful. You spot someone with a fancier house or a nicer ride, and something deep inside you starts to scream. If you give in to that scream, it could cost you everything. I've seen envy wipe out more wealth than poor investments ever could. You've got people earning $200,000 a year but living paycheck to paycheck because they can't stand that their coworker bought a boat. Here's the flip side I want you to really take to heart. Instead of asking, "How can I get rich?" flip the question to, "What keeps people poor?" The answer becomes clear once you take a closer look. People remain poor because they can't postpone their desires. They stay poor because they worry about what strangers think. They remain in a tough spot because they allow their feelings to take precedence over their math every single time. The calculations are painfully straightforward. Spend less than what you bring in. Put the leftover into assets that actually generate returns. Just wait, that's all there is to it. But just because it's simple doesn't mean it's a walk in the park. Because you're battling a brain that craves pleasure right now, status right now, comfort right now. Your mind is yelling at you to focus on today while your future self is the one who ends up paying the consequences. The fourth tendency, contrast and misreaction. Your brain doesn't assess things in absolute numbers. It looks at them through the lens of comparison. You feel wealthy until you encounter someone who's even wealthier. You feel broke until you spot someone who's worse off. This inclination leads you to make irrational choices about money in ways we can predict. You get a 20% raise and suddenly boost your lifestyle by 25% because you're measuring yourself against some benchmark that has no connection to rational thinking. Let me share a specific example. Back when Zig Ziglar and I were just starting out, we didn't really measure ourselves against those who were already successful. Instead, we looked at our decisions through the lens of opportunity cost. Every single dollar we spent on things we didn't really need was a dollar that couldn't grow over the years. That's the logical way to think about it. But honestly, most folks don't see it that way. They're too caught up in comparing their ride to their neighbor's ride. Now, let's talk about the fifth tendency, deprivation and superreaction. People really dislike losing what they already have, way more than they enjoy getting something new. This is why you'll see individuals holding on to losing stocks for way too long while they sell off the winners too soon. It's also why they struggle to cut unnecessary expenses from their budgets. Losing a luxury subscription feels like a huge blow, even though not signing up in the first place wouldn't have been a big deal at all. Your mind reacts to giving up that daily coffee shop visit as if someone's snatching food right out of your hands. In the meantime, you're shelling out $1,500 a year. That money could be growing instead. In 20 years, that's $50,000 you're throwing away because your mind can't cope with the idea of letting go of something. Let's chat about compound interest since everyone acts like they get it. But in reality, not many do. Compound interest is the most formidable force in finance, but it's totally pointless if you don't have anything to grow. That's the real issue. Folks read about Buffett compounding at 20% for 60 years and think, awesome, I'll do that too. But they're sitting on $500 and juggling 3 credit cards with 18% interest. They don't have a compound interest issue. They've got a capital formation issue. Here's what compound interest genuinely looks like. At first, it's pretty disheartening. You stash away $6,000. You make 10%. That's $600 before taxes. Then your car breaks down and you're out $900. You start to feel like an idiot for even trying. This is where 90% of people throw in the towel. They can't stand the mental struggle of watching tiny amounts grow slowly while life keeps hitting them hard. I never got pumped about compound interest. Back in my 20s, I was hustling hard, struggling, and seeing barely any returns that could even cover a getaway. It was all about sticking with it, even when it felt tough. That's where real wealth is built, not from being a genius. It comes from that stubborn determination to keep going when throwing in the towel seems like the easiest choice. The sixth habit is about availability and misjudgment. Your mind tends to give too much weight to recent flashy examples while downplaying the actual statistics. You might know someone who struck it rich in cryptocurrency, so you think that's a smart move, completely overlooking the countless folks who lost everything. You recall that one stock tip that paid off and conveniently forget the 10 that flopped. This mindset leads you to chase after high performance and buy at the peak. The smart move is to disregard those stories and rely on solid systems. But let's be real, humans aren't exactly rational. We're driven by narratives, and those narratives often mislead us about what's likely to happen. Every time a lottery winner pops up on TV, it makes 1 million people throw their cash at tickets because that captivating story overshadows the cold, hard facts. Let me share the framework I use. I call it inversion. Instead of wondering what steps I should take to achieve success, I prefer to think about what I should steer clear of to avoid failure. That second question holds way more value because the major blunders usually stem from a handful of foolish choices that anyone with a bit of self-control can dodge. Steering clear of foolishness is way more crucial than chasing after brilliance. This isn't about being humble, it's just basic math. If you can sidestep disasters, everything else tends to fall into place. But one big mistake can wipe out years of hard work. I've witnessed it happen to folks who are way smarter than you might ever be. They got too clever for their own good. They got greedy. Or they just let their guard down. And suddenly 4 decades of building wealth disappeared in one reckless move. Let me break down what foolishness looks like in real life. Foolishness is taking out loans to buy things that lose value. Foolishness is racking up credit card debt while acting like you're an investor. Foolishness is believing you can outsmart professionals who dedicate 80 hours a week to analyzing the markets. Being foolish is purchasing a home you can't afford just because you're scared of missing out forever. These aren't rare situations. This is what the majority of folks tend to do. The seventh tendency is misguidance from those in authority. You tend to trust authority figures even when they're mistaken. Your mind developed this instinct because in tribal communities, going against the chief could get you in serious trouble. But in today's financial world, those authority figures are often trying to sell you something. Financial advisors earn commissions. The media thrives on sensational headlines. Economists might be pushing their latest book. They're all looking out for their own interests rather than yours. However, your brain still views them like wise tribal leaders who genuinely care about your well-being. I'll be straightforward about financial advisors. A lot of them are just average salespeople who wouldn't outshine the market even if their lives depended on it. They'll take 1% from you each year to place you in pricey mutual funds that don't perform as well as index funds. Over 3 decades, that 1% fee adds up to you retiring with 30% less cash. Sure, here's a reformulated version of the text, but they've got a fancy office and are all dressed up in suits, so your mind instinctively trusts them while they're quietly taking your money. The smart choice is pretty straightforward. Invest in low-cost index funds. Keep them for the long haul. Just ignore all the noise. But that kind of advice only benefits you, so you won't hear it from anyone with a platform. They'll make it complicated, throw in some disclaimers, sell you subscriptions, and persuade you that investing is something you need special skills for. It's not. What it really takes is discipline, which you might not have. But that's a whole other issue. The 8th tendency is avoiding doubt. Your mind really dislikes uncertainty. When you're unsure about something, it creates mental discomfort. So you rush to make a choice, any choice, even if it's a poor one. This is why folks panic and sell during market crashes. The uncertainty of whether things will bounce back is just too much to handle. So they end up selling at the lowest point just to escape that feeling. I've been through more market downturns than most people have had birthdays. Every single time, the same scenario unfolds. Intelligent folks who grasp the concept of compounding on an intellectual level completely lose their cool when their investments take a 30% hit. The emotional turmoil overshadows their reasoning, leading them to make the very choice that seals their fate for a permanent loss. They sell. Here's the key point you need to grasp. Market fluctuations aren't a flaw. They're the very element that drives returns. Stocks reward you with a premium for enduring that psychological discomfort. If holding on to stocks was a walk in the park, they'd yield a mere 2% like bonds do. Instead, they offer a 10% return because most people can't stand seeing their wealth swing dramatically. That volatility is your reward for staying calm when others are in a panic. But your mind doesn't operate on a 30-year timeline. It's focused on the present moment. When the market dips by 20%, your amygdala goes off like you're being hunted. Every instinct shouts danger, flee, take action. The smart move is to do nothing, or even better, buy more. Sure, here's a reformulated version of the text, but they've got a fancy office and are all dressed up in suits. So your mind instinctively trusts them, while they're quietly taking your money. The smart choice is pretty straightforward. Invest in low-cost index funds. Keep them for the long haul. Just ignore all the noise. But that kind of advice only benefits you, so you won't hear it from anyone with a platform. They'll make it complicated, throw in some disclaimers, sell you subscriptions, and persuade you that investing is something you need special skills for. It's not. What it really takes is discipline, which you might not have. But that's a whole other issue. The eighth tendency is avoiding doubt. Your mind really dislikes uncertainty. When you're unsure about something, it creates mental discomfort. So you rush to make a choice, any choice, even if it's a poor one. This is why folks panic and sell during market crashes. The uncertainty of whether things will bounce back is just too much to handle. So they end up selling at the lowest point just to escape that feeling. I've been through more market downturns than most people have had birthdays. You might want to think that your job is secure, so you don't really need a big emergency stash. These feelings aren't bad. They're just part of being human. However, if you let them take over your common sense, they can keep you from getting ahead financially. What I've always done is set up some counter incentives. Whenever I feel the urge to splurge on something silly, I figure out what that cash could grow into if I invested it for 30 years. That fancy car isn't just $40,000. It's actually $200,000 for retirement. When you look at it like that, suddenly sticking with your old ride seems way more sensible. Now, let's talk about the 10th tendency, self-serving bias. You tend to think you're smarter, more capable, and luckier than you really are. 90% of folks believe they're above average drivers, and 90% of investors think they can outsmart the market. This mindset can make you overly confident and open to mistakes that someone with a more realistic view of themselves would steer clear of. I've met plenty of incredibly smart people. I've been lucky enough to collaborate with some of the brightest minds in the business world, but I've yet to encounter anyone clever enough to consistently outsmart the markets through trading. The numbers are stacked against you. The fees are working against you. The experts are on the other side, and your own mindset can be your worst enemy. Still, folks keep giving it a shot because they can't bear the thought that they're not exceptional. Let me show you what being exceptional really is. Being exceptional means having the self-control to live within your means for 10 years. It means continuing to save even when your investments take a nosedive of 40%. It means ignoring your brother-in-law's hot stock tip. That's what makes you exceptional, because hardly anyone can pull it off. But it doesn't have that glamorous appeal. So people keep chasing the dream of getting rich through a quick fix instead of just being patient. Now, let's discuss debt, because that's where I see the most jaw-dropping foolishness. Debt is the antithesis of compounding. When you have money invested, it works in your favor and grows. But when you're in debt, it compounds against you without mercy. A credit card with an interest rate of 18% is just piling on your financial struggles while you're catching some Z's. I've seen folks earning $100,000 a year still living from one paycheck to the next because they've put everything on credit: cars, furniture, vacations, even their everyday expenses. They believe they're doing just fine, but in reality, they're constructing a prison one monthly payment at a time. Here's the math that everyone overlooks. If you're carrying credit card debt at 18% while hoping to make 10% from stocks, you're essentially paying an 8% fee just to feel like an investor. That's not being savvy. That's just wishful thinking. The smart choice is crystal clear. Pay off all your debts before you even think about investing a single penny. But that means facing the fact that you can't keep up with your current lifestyle, and people will go to great lengths to dodge that reality. Now, let's talk about the 11th tendency: reciprocation. When someone does something nice for you, you feel this urge to return the favor. Salespeople are well aware of this. They hand out free samples, offer free trials, and provide free consultations. So your mind starts to feel like you owe them something. This is how folks wind up purchasing stuff they don't really need from people they just met. The credit card companies totally get this. They offer you rewards points, cash back, and access to airport lounges. You think they're being nice, but in reality, they're charging businesses 3%. And those businesses, in turn, hike up their prices to make up for it. So you end up footing the bill for your own rewards. On top of that, the whole psychological game of chasing points makes you spend even more. They're not really giving you anything. They're just playing with your natural tendency to reciprocate to get you to spend more. I don't get involved in these games. I've never tried to maximize credit card points. I've never been interested in status or perks. The mental effort folks waste on loyalty programs could be way better used figuring out how to earn more or cut back on spending, but that's a tougher nut to crack. So they end up chasing that extra 0.5% cash back while overlooking the bigger chances. The 12th tendency is way too much self-importance. You believe you're one of a kind. You think the rules don't really apply to you. You're convinced you'll be the one who strikes it rich through day trading, flipping properties, or launching a dropshipping venture. This mindset leaves you open to every get-rich-quick scheme that pops up because they all say what you want to hear. You think you're clever enough to outsmart the system. Here's a little secret. The system usually wins. The people who build real wealth do it through steady, unexciting capital growth over many years. They're not extraordinary. They're disciplined. There's a big difference. Being special means you have unique skills. Discipline means you stick to the straightforward path, even when it's tough emotionally. The first 100,000 isn't about being special. It's all about not being foolish. Don't finance things that lose value. Avoid carrying high-interest debt. Don't upgrade your lifestyle every time you get a pay raise. Don't get caught up in chasing performance. And definitely don't panic when things go south. If you can steer clear of these mistakes, you'll build up your wealth. It won't happen overnight. It won't be thrilling, but it will pay off. Now, let's talk about the timeline, because this is where people's expectations can really trip them up. Building $100,000 from scratch usually takes most folks around 7 to 10 years of serious saving. That's not just a guess. That's basic math. If you save $1,000 each month and earn 7%, you'll reach that goal in roughly 8 years. Most people can't handle 8 years of discipline. They want it to happen quicker, so they start searching for shortcuts. They stumble upon options trading or cryptocurrency or some expert selling a course on making passive income. They convince themselves they can outsmart the system. Then they end up losing money, feeling discouraged and giving up entirely. They would have been better off accepting the timeline and just putting in the work. The timeline seems pretty unfair, I get that. You put in the effort, make sacrifices, and for what feels like ages, it seems like you're stuck in the same place. Your pals are sharing their vacation snaps while you're stuck eating rice and beans. Your coworkers are cruising around in shiny new rides while you're just trying to keep that old clunker running. The pressure to throw in the towel is huge. But here's the thing they don't tell you. A lot of those folks sharing vacation photos are buried in debt. That colleague with the new car just locked themselves into 6 years of payments. They may look successful, but they're really stuck. Then there's the 13th tendency, the liking tendency. You end up doing business with people you like, even if it costs you. You buy from the friendly salesperson. You give work to your buddy's kid. You invest with your cousin's company. Your mind puts social comfort ahead of smart decision-making, and over time, that can really add up. I've made my share of blunders in the business world, but I figured out early on to separate who I like from who's really good at what they do. I really don't care how charming someone is at social gatherings if they can't produce results. A lot of folks never grasp this difference. They keep bringing on board people who aren't up to the task just because they like them, and then they wonder why nothing gets done. The journey to 100,000 requires you to be brutally honest about how you're performing, starting with yourself. Are you really saving up like you should, or are you just making excuses? Are you steering clear of dumb debt, or are you just funding your lifestyle? Are you sticking with your investments even when things get rocky? Or are you checking your portfolio every single day and freaking out? Many people deceive themselves. They claim to be investors when they're really just taking chances. They say they're building wealth when they're just treading water. They promise they'll start saving seriously next year. But next year never arrives. The months keep rolling by and they remain broke. Let me break down what real discipline looks like, because I don't think people get it. Discipline is driving right past the car dealership when your bonus comes in. Discipline is turning down that getaway your buddies are organizing. Discipline is seeing your investments drop by 30% and still choosing to buy more. Discipline is having to explain to your partner why you're not upgrading the house, even though you could technically swing it. None of that feels great. Discipline doesn't create those Instagram-worthy moments. Instead, it builds something way more precious. Options. When you've got capital, you've got choices. You can walk away from a toxic job. You can launch a business. You can scoop up assets when everyone else is freaking out. You can take smart risks even without capital. You take whatever life throws at you and keep smiling through it. Now, let's talk about tendency. Stress can really mess with you. When you're feeling the heat, you often revert to basic instincts. You make choices based on emotions. You look for comfort. You ditch long-term planning. That's why so many people's finances crumble during tough times. The pressure takes over their logical thinking, and they just do whatever it takes to ease the immediate pain. I saw this happen back in 2008. Folks with solid portfolios freaked out and sold off everything when the market hit rock bottom. They just couldn't handle the pressure of seeing their wealth take a nosedive. If they had just stayed put, they would have bounced back in a few years. Instead, they locked in permanent losses because stress clouded their judgment. The answer isn't about being fearless. It's about creating systems that shield you from your own stress reactions. Set up your savings to be automatic so you can't dip into them. Establish automatic investments so you keep buying even when the market is down. Make rules ahead of time for when you'll sell so stress doesn't mess with your reasoning. Most people don't have any systems in place. They just go with the flow. They convince themselves they'll be logical when it counts. But then stress hits and they realize they're not as rational as they thought. By the time they come to this realization, it's already too late. The damage has been done. The 15th tendency is availability. It's about misjudging things combined with striking evidence. You remember the dramatic tales and overlook the statistical facts. You know someone who struck it rich in real estate, so you think that's the way to go. You've heard about someone who lost it all in the market, so you steer clear of stocks. Your mind is gathering evidence in a totally skewed way, prioritizing tales over facts. The facts are straightforward. Major stock market indexes have grown at about 10% for 100 years. When you factor in upkeep, taxes, and transaction fees, real estate returns are actually lower. But real estate seems more secure because you can physically see it. Plus, everyone has those stories about their uncle who hit the jackpot. Those anecdotes are drowning out the numbers that should inform your choices. I'm not saying to avoid real estate. I'm just saying don't let those vivid stories overshadow the statistical truth. The dull, diversified strategy usually outperforms the thrilling, story-driven one almost every time. But let's be honest, boring doesn't sell. Boring doesn't go viral. So you find yourself surrounded by captivating tales about rare cases, while the unexciting winners quietly accumulate wealth. Let's get something straight about what $100,000 really signifies. It isn't about retiring. It doesn't mean you're financially free. And honestly, it's not even an enormous sum when you think about it. What it truly stands for is evidence that you can keep yourself in check. It's a testament to your ability to postpone immediate pleasure. It shows that you can accumulate wealth in a system set up to take away every cent you earn. Once you demonstrate that to yourself, the next 100,000 comes along much quicker. Your mindset shifts. You're not battling against yourself as fiercely anymore because you've developed those mental muscles. You've created the habits. You've endured the tedious times and witnessed the magic of compound interest starting to reveal itself. Usually, the second 100,000 takes about half the time. You're putting away more cash because you're making more. Your current wealth is compounding. The numbers begin to work in your favor rather than against you. By the time you reach 500,000, the yearly returns surpass your paycheck. That's when folks start saying you're lucky. They don't recognize the years of hard work that laid the groundwork. 16th tendency, mental compartmentalization. You handle different types of money in various ways based on random mental categories. Your tax refund feels like found cash, so you splurge it. Your paycheck is serious cash, so you're more cautious. But cash is cash. A dollar from a refund is just as good as a dollar from your salary. Still, you treat them in totally different ways. This habit makes folks act irrationally when they get unexpected money. They receive a bonus and instantly splurge on luxuries because it feels like free cash. If they were thinking clearly, they'd see that bonus as a golden chance to speed up their journey toward 100,000. Instead, they box it in as extra and waste it. I've never viewed it like that. Every dollar has the same purpose. It should either grow or provide essential value. It doesn't matter where it originated. The bonus, the refund, the birthday check from grandma, they all go to the same pot. Your invested money can grow steadily while everyone else is out shopping. The 17th tendency is all about inconsistency and avoidance. Once you latch onto a certain identity or stance, your mind fights against any change. If you think of yourself as someone who isn't good with money or struggles to save, you'll keep acting in line with that identity, even if it's harmful to you. Your brain prefers to be consistently mistaken rather than face the fact that change is necessary. That's why I'm not a fan of financial resolutions. Folks often say they'll start saving in January. They stick with it for about 6 weeks, then give up. Come next January, it's the same old resolution and the same outcome. They're attempting to alter their actions without shifting their identity. It simply doesn't work. The real change comes from realizing that you're not bad with money. You're just using a mindset that's suited for a different situation. Once you grasp the psychological patterns that are working against you, you can create strategies to counteract them. You're not altering who you are, you're just outsmarting your own predictable quirks. Let's chat about reaching that finish line because folks often get it wrong. When they hit 100,000, you don't instantly become wealthy. You don't just walk away from your job. You don't go out and buy a yacht. What actually happens is you keep doing exactly what you were doing before. You continue saving, you keep investing, you maintain a lifestyle that's below your means because that 100,000 isn't the end goal. It's just the first mile marker in a long race. This is where many people trip themselves up. They reach that milestone and think it's time to throw a party. They start upgrading their lifestyle as a reward for their hard work. After spending a decade building up their savings, they throw away all that progress just when compound interest starts to get exciting. It's like climbing a mountain for hours and then deciding to roll back down just because you're feeling tired. The sensible reaction to hitting 100,000 is to do nothing. No celebrations, no lifestyle upgrades, no easing up on your discipline. You just keep pushing forward because now the numbers are finally working in your favor. The returns are starting to get significant. The power of compound interest is really kicking in. This is the moment to speed up, not just cruise along. The 18th tendency can be about fairness. You might think the world should be just. You believe that hard work ought to be rewarded fairly. You assume that doing the right thing will lead to success. However, this mindset can lead to letdowns because the world doesn't operate that way. There are tons of diligent folks who remain broke, while many lazy individuals inherit riches. Fairness is something we humans created, not a natural law. The game of accumulating capital isn't fair, it's simply math. If you save and invest, compound interest will do its thing. If you don't, it won't. Your level of effort, your moral value, your intentions, none of that matters. The math doesn't care if you deserve to succeed. It only cares if you provide it with capital and time. I've never counted on fairness. I've relied on probability. I've anticipated that consistent rational actions over extended periods yield predictable outcomes. That's not fairness. That's just basic math. Yet folks keep holding out for the universe to reward their struggles, and they're puzzled when it doesn't happen. The universe doesn't reward hardship. It rewards building wealth and having patience. Let me share the ultimate framework, the one that connects all the dots. I refer to it as the lattice work of mental models. To make smart choices about money, you really need to grasp psychology, math, economics, and biology. Most individuals usually stick to 1 or 2 mental models based on what they learned in school. That's simply not sufficient. You have to get your head around compound interest from math. You need to grasp incentives from economics. You should be aware of cognitive biases from psychology. And you need to understand evolutionary mismatches from biology. When you blend these models, it becomes clear why many people struggle with finances and what steps you should take to do things differently. Psychology shows you the pitfalls to sidestep. Math reveals what actually works. The study of economics shows how systems operate. Meanwhile, biology explains why your instincts can lead you astray. When you combine these two, you create a solid foundation for making smart choices that many folks never really grasp. It's not rocket science. A clever high schooler could wrap their head around everything I've mentioned. However, just because you understand something on a mental level doesn't mean you'll act on it. Everyone is aware that they ought to save more and spend less, yet very few actually do. The space between knowing what to do and actually doing it is where people lose out financially. The tendency to misjudge is a real issue. As you get older, your brain's abilities may decline, but your confidence often stays intact. This makes older individuals more susceptible to scams and poor choices. It also impacts younger folks who think they can always put off saving for later. Your body and mind are like assets that lose value over time. Every year you delay starting is a year you can't reclaim. I've seen people squander years convincing themselves they'll get serious about saving once they reach a certain goal. As soon as they land that promotion, once the kids finish college, or after they settle their car payments, that big moment never seems to show up, and when it finally does, a fresh excuse takes the place of the old one. Before they know it, they're 65 and freaking out because they've got nothing to show for it. Those years are gone for good. Compound interest requires time, and time is the one thing you can't buy more of. Starting at 25 instead of 35 or 45 makes a huge difference. It's not just about having more savings, it's about having more time for compounding to work its magic. Every year you wait costs you way more than the year before. The toughest part is that when you're young and have time on your side, you don't feel that rush. But when you're older and that urgency hits, time slips away. That's why I'm so passionate about urging young folks to kick things off right away, not next year, not after they clear this one hurdle today. Because while you're waiting for those perfect conditions that will never come, you're wasting your most precious resource. Let me wrap this up with the one piece of advice that truly counts. If you're looking to create wealth, there are 3 things you need to stick to consistently. First off, steer clear of catastrophic foolishness. Live beneath your means and put the difference into assets that actually work for you. That's all there is to it. Everything else is just background noise. Steering clear of catastrophic foolishness means no high-interest debt, no gambling that pretends to be investing, no purchasing assets that lose value with borrowed cash, no panicking and selling during market dips. Just don't blow yourself up. That alone takes care of about 90% of financial mess-ups. Living beneath your means isn't about being stingy, it's about being sensible. Every dollar you spend trying to impress folks you don't even like is a dollar that can't grow into your freedom. Pick freedom over status. Opt for choices over comfort. Go for long-term growth instead of short-term gratification. The numbers don't care about your emotions. Investing in productive assets means acquiring things that bring in returns. When it comes to investing, think about stocks and solid companies, index funds, and real estate that generates cash flow. Definitely not collectibles or cryptocurrency, and certainly not whatever your friends are hyped about. We're talking about those steady, productive assets that have been building wealth for ages. If you give them the chance, they'll keep growing for you. The first 100,000 is the big hurdle. It's a real test of whether you can hold it together long enough for the numbers to work in your favor. A lot of folks stumble at this point. They just don't have the self-control, the patience, or the clear thinking to make it happen. They spend their time coming up with reasons why they can't save while splurging on things that keep them broke. But if you can get through this challenge, if you can create that initial stack of cash, through years of unexciting discipline, everything shifts. The curve of compound interest starts to rise. Your money begins to earn more than you can set aside. The mental weight eases up because you're finally witnessing progress that reflects your hard work. And here's the kicker that no one talks about. Once you've built genuine capital and you've witnessed how compound interest actually plays out over the years, your desires start to change. That flashy car suddenly seems like a waste of money. An extravagant vacation looks like lost potential for compound interest that you'll never see again. Your priorities shift because you've felt something far more fulfilling than just buying stuff. The sense of security and freedom that capital brings. That's the real prize, not just the figure sitting in your bank account, although that is nice too. The true reward is the mental transformation from being a consumer, swayed by every ad and societal expectation, to becoming a savvy capital allocator who makes smart, long-term decisions. You evolve into a different kind of person. So here's my parting advice. Aim to gather your first 100,000 by any honest and legal means you can. Slash your expenses down to the essentials. Boost your income in any way possible. Tune out everyone trying to hawk their products. Ignore those who criticize your old car or modest apartment. Just focus on getting it done, because until you've got some cash, you're not really in the wealth-building game. You're just trying to get by, and that survival game is stacked against you. Every little crisis can take you down. Any economic slump can wipe you out. A terrible boss can keep you in check. But once you've got some capital, you're in a whole new game. You've got a safety net, you've got choices, you've got the time to make smart decisions instead of panicked ones. You might not be wealthy yet, but you're no longer helpless. And that shift is everything. Don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. Don't expect it to happen overnight. Don't count on anyone to support you or root for you while you're at it. Building wealth is a lonely, tedious, and unexciting grind that takes years before you see any real progress. Most folks give up because they can't deal with the mindset of waiting for rewards. But if you can stick it out, if you can outlast your own impatience and irrational thoughts, the numbers will add up. They always do. Compound interest doesn't care about where you come from, your luck, or who you know. It only cares if you provide it with both capital and time. If you do, it can lead you to wealth. If you neglect either one, you'll remain broke no matter how clever you are. The decision is up to you. You can keep making excuses, spend every penny you earn, and hope that someone will come to your rescue. Or you can recognize that the game is straightforward yet challenging and start playing it earnestly today. Not next month, not next year, but today. Because every single day you delay is a day of compound interest you'll never reclaim. When you look back at the end of your life, you'll either be grateful for the discipline that brought you freedom or regret the excuses that held you back. So stop reading, stop researching, and stop searching for quick fixes. Just take action, save diligently, invest wisely, wait with patience. The first 100,000 is the toughest to reach, but it's yours to earn. And on the flip side, there's a way of living that the majority of folks never experience. It's a lifestyle where your finances do the heavy lifting for you, rather than you grinding away for your paycheck.